All right, now we are going to write the equation of the line worksheet. So we don't have a picture, we just have a slope and a point, and we can write the equation of the line because you just need a direction and a starting point to write the equation of the line, or 2 points, because as you know, 2 points make a straight line. So we can take any 2 points and make a straight line, or we can have a slope and a point and make a straight line. All right, so we're going to work through this. So you put your name on it. I'm going to write key on it again. This is the answer key. To do this, we need to have our basic equation, y equals mx plus b. So we know a bunch of information with this equation, but we don't know one part, and that is the y-intercept. So let me move this out of the way. There we go. So what I need to do is identify the information that we know. So x is equal to, it's the x coordinate, right? Because it's always x comma y. So this is x. So x is 1, and then y, x comma y is 5. So you can go through here and it's like, hey, do I know a y value? Yeah, 5. Do I know an m? Do I know a slope? Yeah, 3. So we substitute it in. Do I know x? X is 1. Then I can find b. So here we go. So I'm going to write off y equals mx plus b. So what is y? It's sitting right there. Y is 5. And m sitting right there is 3. So it's times x. It's m times x. So x is 1. And b is b. We're going to multiply these together first, and we get 3 plus b. We have to solve for b. Got to find b. Minus 3 minus 3. 2 is equal to b. Am I done? Well, mostly. I'm not done, though, until I write the equation. And to write in an equation, just like we did on the previous worksheet where we had to identify the slope and the y-intercept, I've done that. There's the slope for free, and I just calculated the y-intercept. So those two things get plugged in the m and the b slot. So we get y is equal to m, which is 3x plus 2. So this equation holds this point. This equation has that slope. All right, let's do another one. Why is this important? This is an Algebra 1 thing, and we want to be able to write the equation of a parabola, which is more of an Algebra 2 thing. So in Algebra 2, we'll focus a lot on parabolas. So we want to be able to write the equation of a parabola. And writing the equation of a line and writing the equation of a parabola has some similarities to it. Okay, 3. So I have the m. There's my m, right? M's negative 1. X is the negative 3. And y is the 5. So I write down y equals mx plus b. And I go from there. I plug in the m, the x, and the y, solve for b. Hopefully you remember doing this from before. So this is still writing the equation of the line, but we're given information about the line instead of the actual picture of the line. I think the picture of the line is easier. So b, we don't know. We know the x and the y and the m. So y is 5, m is negative 1, x is negative 3, and b is b. We don't know. So we're going to multiply these together. So 5 is equal to negative times negative is positive, so it's 3 plus b. Subtract the 3 over. Got to get b by itself. And we get 2 is equal to b. So b is 2. So I multiplied together to get 3. I subtracted the 3 over to get b by itself, and then we have b. I know the b, I know the m up here. I can write the equation of the line. So I know the bm. Ha, that's funny. So y is equal to negative 1x plus 2. All right. So same thing. Plug in the m and the x and the y, and you got to solve for b, whether it's this equation here or this one here. So there's 2 to do on your own. On the back side, we have one more step to do. We're only given 2 points. And we have to know the slope. We can't do this unless we know the slope. So we got to know the slope. So that would be my first thing to do, would be to find the slope. Oh, excuse me. Ooh. All right, I put the slope formula up here, which is the change in the y values over the change in the x values. And so change in math is represented by subtraction. We want to know, and that's what slope does. It's how the line changes. So we're measuring the change in the y direction versus the change in the x direction, and that creates my ups and overs to make my slope. So here we go. I'm going to call this x1 and x2. No. What am I saying? x1 and y1, and this is going to be x2 and y2. Now it doesn't really matter. You could call this the first point and this the second point. So I'm just going left to right. It makes no difference. So here we go. So I'm going to subtract the y values, so it's going to be 5. So slope has to be calculated first. So there's one additional step to this compared to the other page, or the front side of this, is you have to calculate the slope first. So we're going to subtract the y values, so it's 5 minus 0 over subtracting the x values, so this minus this would be 5 minus 1. So it's 5 over 4. 5 over 4 is the slope. Now, I have to make a choice. I can use either point, because I only need 1 point and 1 slope. So I'm going to now cross this out, or I could cross the first one out, it makes no difference. And I'm going to use this point here. I'm going to use this slope to write the equation of the line, just like I did on the first page. So now I write y equals mx plus b. So this is one additional slope, or it's not slope, one additional step. So we're going to plug in the y, which is 0. M is 5/4. X is x, which is 1. And b is b. 1 times anything is itself, so 0 is equal to 5/4 plus b. And then I got to get b by itself, so I'm going to move the 5/4 over. So I'm going to subtract over 5/4. So b is negative 5/4. And again, I'm not done until I know the equation. So I'm going to use that b and the slope of 5/4. So this is going to be kind of a funky one here. So the equation of the line is y, am I off the paper? Nope. Y equals the slope right here, 5/4 x, and then minus b, or plus negative, but I'm going to say minus 5/4. All right, the next one, same thing. We're going to calculate the slope first, and then write the equation of the line. Man, I'm yawning. Stop it, Mr. Jackie. So I'm going to do the second y value minus the first y value. And you can go in either order as long as you're consistent with how you do it. So I'm going to just say 15 minus 10. So the slope is 15 minus 10. I wrote 14, wow. Over, so it's 15 minus 10, negative 6 minus a negative 4. Negative 6 minus a negative 4. So it's a double negative. So it's going to be 15 minus 10, which is 5, over the double negative means this is positive, and negative 2. So 5 over negative 2. So I'm going to use this slope, and I'm going to use that first point. I could use the second point, it doesn't matter. There's my x, there's my y, there's my slope. So I write y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in the y value, which is 10. Slope, negative 5 over 2. And the negative could be on the top or the bottom, but I like to write it on the top. And negative 4 plus b. So 10 is equal to, so this means divide by 2. And a negative times a negative is positive. So 2 2 divides into 4. 2 divides into 4. 2 times the 5 is 10. So another way to think about this is 2.5. 2.5 times 4 would be 10. So negative times negative is positive, so it's 10. Or you can use a calculator to help you, but this is 10 plus b. Solve for b. How am I solving for b? Well, I got to move the 10 over. So I get 0 is equal to b. Oh, so this is like the one graphs where there's no y-intercept. So I write the equation of the line. Y is equal to slope, which I calculated up here, negative 5 halves plus x, or times x, negative 5 halves x, plus 0, so I don't really need that. And there's my answer. So this equation holds these 2 points. This equation here holds these 2 points. These 2 points live in this equation. They're part of the solutions. Over here, we have a point and a slope, but this point lives inside of here. So you can even take 1. Take 1, put it in. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So 1, 5 is it's held in that equation. All right, so do the next 4 and turn it in.